The finals of the 7th annual Courts Schools Reading Competition was held Tuesday. The victor walked away with $2,000 cash, $2,000 for the school, and 1 year free internet from Flow, a smartphone from Digicel, and among other prizes. And that was won by a student of the Camille Henry Memorial School. Here's how it all went down.
One child, one book, one pen can change the world. These are simple but yet very powerful words from the child activist Malala, who many of you may have heard of before. All it takes is one to effect a change. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today not just as the managing director of Courts, but as an individual who is very passionate about the cause of reading. We at Courts are very serious about pushing the reading agenda forward, working hand in hand with the various ministries of education, schools, teachers, and students to see its continued success. We understand that being able to read is not just a means of escape, but it gives you access to a better way of life.
Once upon a time, a long time ago, there lived a spider named Anansi. Anansi's wife was a very good cook, but always Anansi loved to taste the food that others in the village made for themselves and for their families. One day, he stopped by Rabbit's house. Rabbit was his good friend. There are greens in your pot, cried Anansi excitedly.
Anansi loved greens. They are not quite done, said Rabbit, but they will be soon. Stay and eat with me. I would love to, Rabbit, but I have some things to do, Anansi said hurriedly. If he waited at Rabbit's house, Rabbit would certainly give him jobs to do. I know, said Anansi.
I'll spin a web. I'll tie one end around my leg and one end to your pot. When the greens are done, tug on the web and I'll come running. Rabbit thought that was a great idea, and so it was done.
I smell beans, Anansi sniffed excitedly as he ambled along. Delicious beans cooking in a pot. Come eat our beans with us, cried the monkeys. They are almost done. I would love to, Father Monkey, said Anansi. And again, Anansi suggested he spin a web, with one end tied around his leg and one end tied to the big bean pot. Father Monkey thought that was a great idea. All his children thought so too, and so it was done. I smell sweet potatoes, Anansi sniffed happily as he ambled along. Sweet potatoes and honey, I do believe. Anansi, called his friend Hog, my pot is full of sweet potatoes and honey. Come share my food with me. I would love to, said Anansi. And again, Anansi suggested he spin a web with one end tied around his leg and one end tied to the sweet potato pot. His friend Hog thought that was a great idea, and so it was done. By the time Anansi arrived at the river, he had one web tied to each of his 8 legs. This was a wonderful idea, Anansi told himself proudly. I wonder whose pot will be ready first. Just then, Anansi felt a tug on his leg.
Ah, said Anansi. That is the web string tied to Rabbit's greens. He felt another, and another, Anansi pulled 3 waves at once. Oh dear, said Anansi
as he felt the fourth web string pull. Just then, he felt the 5th web string tug. On the 6th, on the 7th, on the 8th. Anansi was pulled this way and that way, as everyone pulled on the web strings at once. His legs were pulled thinner and thinner. Anansi rolled and tugged himself into the river. When all the webs had washed away, Anansi pulled himself painfully on the shore. Oh my, sighed Anansi. Perhaps that was not such a good idea after all. To this day, Anansi the spider has 8 very thin legs, and he never got any food that day at all.
Okay, coming in 3rd place with a total of 421 points, representing the Miku Primary School, Joel Leon. 2nd place is our first runner-up.
With 449 points, we have, representing the Soufre Primary School, we have Marcella Braid.
Our first place winner for 2015, our Courts St. Lucia Reading Champion, with a total of 456 points, Camille Henry Memorial. Ariana Mercier is your 2015 Courts St. Lucia Reading Champion.
Everybody thank God that we come from the Caribbean. Now we're signaling so. We're going so. Let me see your hands up. Hold it there now. Hands up for the greatest festival. Hands up, cause all of we are one.